Hey, it's Mike with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Wednesday. It's November 12th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And you can see we did close up, not by much. We traded much higher, but we did back off of that. This is kind of a range-looking day. We traded down, then up, and then kind of back down again. So nothing special today other than we did trade higher and we did close slightly higher, not much to brag on there. So as you can see, it kind of looks like a neutral day. They couldn't take it higher or they couldn't sustain a higher move and they couldn't sustain a lower move. So we just kind of closed almost neutral. So let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart and see what that looks like on the chart. But we traded down early and then just kind of reversed and traded back up and then closed off the highs is the way I would describe it. Well, let's flip over there and take a look. Okay, here it is. You can see we traded down, got the close outside, moved to a new low. Then we were trading up, close outside, new high. And then it looked like we were going to start another leg down, and we kind of rallied back. We closed off of these rally highs, but we did not make another leg down. I will state this: one of these trades, I took a trade in here. I believe it was right here. I'll talk about it when we get to it. Um, I took a trade and recorded it. I was going to upload it today, but I couldn't get it all done in time. So I'll upload it tomorrow. But you'll notice these trades today, and I'll show you these trades. I mean, we'll talk about them in today's chart, but you'll see the actual live trade tomorrow. So be sure and catch that um, tomorrow. I might even upload it after this if I have time, but it'll probably be tomorrow before I post that trade. So anyway, let's zoom in here. You see the downtrend. We had a clear down. Today was a really good trading day. There's some second entries. There's several trades off the key entry point. I mean, we've had some good setups the last few days. So it's kind of been nice trading. But 7 o'clock comes just as we're backing off this first swing here, these first two swings, and you draw your trend line off that, and then of course it comes back and confirms it right here. And this also gives you a second entry short with a very nice, let me zoom in here sometime. Sometimes I forget to zoom in here to make it a little easier for people to see, and I'd apologize for people ask me to zoom in more, and I do it for a day or two, and then I forget. I just don't realize that it's a little more difficult to see from I'm just looking at it at my angle and not thinking sometimes, so I apologize for that. But anyway, you can see we're working up first entry, which gives you a break of this trend channel, and then we go up, and it just gives you a second entry short, double top. There's really a triple test across there. I like going short there regardless, just because it confirms that trend line. And it's quick, easy scalp. You don't get much more than that, depending on how you play it. And it just continues on down here, and then we come back. We get I would treat this like sideways stuff here, and so a leg up with a close outside and a new high all in one bar. I'd also treat that like two legs up, and it's right off the key entry point, good signal bar. Just go short there. You can see it's another nice move. And then this one is, you could, this one's close to being green, but notice the new low, and then you get a first entry, and then it breaks higher there and fails and turns down. So it's a second entry short when it goes past right there. Um, but we also have a lower high here. It's also there's several different reasons. It's, you could say, hey, there's some sideways stuff here with a failed break higher. I don't know that I would enter this once the signal bar closed because there's a pretty big stem there. But this broke higher and then turned down, and this bar is only 5 ticks. So you're going to get in that with a relatively low risk on a second entry in a downtrend. Um, I like that entry on the engulfing bar, but again, most of you should avoid that. You need to be a really skilled trader to trade those. People don't always listen to everything I tell them, but anyway, if you're a skilled trader and you understand what's going on there, maybe you take that trade. I liked it in real time, so I'll just tell you that. And of course, it continues on down, and then we rally here, and you actually get two legs up, but you don't get a good signal bar there. I don't think you want to go short. And then it comes back down, and we did notice there was a gap here. This line was the gap. So when we opened up right here today, there's a gap between there and there on be on a daily chart that doesn't include the overnight data. It's the regular session openings and closes that it leaves a gap on. So you don't see the gap on our chart because we look at a 24-hour chart. But normally you would see the market close here yesterday and open back up here at 8:30 this morning. So that's what this is for. That's what this dashed line is. So prices are likely to feel that. Notice they come down almost to the tick, and it looks like they're going to try to rally, and they turn down again right at this key entry point. Unfortunately, you don't get a good enough signal bar there, and it does come back and give you a lower high, but again, it's not a very good setup. You can't enter that on the engulfing bar, and that's just too congested. It turns out to be a nice move, but unfortunately, there's just not a setup there you really should take. So we just watch that one go, and then we're working sideways here. I wouldn't be looking for any longs at this point. This is a pretty strong downtrend, pretty clear, easy to see, easy to find two-tiered channel. Most everybody that knows how we draw our trend line should be able to find this with relative ease. And so then we're working sideways, and you get this little failed break higher. It's also a first entry, second entry, and it closes back inside. As long as you got room back to here on that second entry, I'd take that. I just think you have to take that trade. We're not quite back to the trend line, but that's okay because you're just playing the sideways range on this particular one. And that's a pretty good setup. So I like that one. Of course, it goes all the way back down to the low side of the range or channel again, and then we're working higher. And this is the trade that I recorded today. I tried to get in here and my phone rang just as I was going to take the trade. I forgot to turn it off. It rang and it distracted me, and then it triggered, and I missed this trade. I was kind of mad at myself, and you may see that in the video. I got kind of disgusted about it because I forgot to turn my phone off. But anyway, you could have entered here. Notice that you're working up. You get a close outside and a new high, and that's a second entry short. But as you'll hear me talk about in the video, I'm a little wary of that because we're not back to the key entry point. And there's a good chance that prices are heading there. And so I don't take this trade. I wait for this setup. And then, of course, I miss it because of the phone call. And so I'm kind of mad at myself. But I just say, hey, let's hold on, see if we get a lower high. And we do get a lower high right here. And so I entered right here. And I actually got a runner. I was originally trying to get a runner down here, which would have got filled, but you see how choppy and moved. So I moved it up, my runner up to right here to this previous low, and I got stopped out right there and got a 3-point runner on that one. Now I did give this runner a little more room. I didn't do the break even +1. I moved my stop. I left my stop, or I moved it back to 1 tick above this, and I let this set up. And I think later I moved it to 1 tick above this swing until it got filled down here. And after the fact, taking on that extra risk, I should have held on. But you can see I would have had to ride it out several times and give back my profit from all this profit back to basically being down a tick or two again. And it would have had to do that a couple of times before it finally drops down. And me, I usually just like to take my profit and then look for another entry. And you get that right here. Notice you get another low and you get a first entry, and then you get a second entry right here. This bar is the true second entry, but you can't enter on that bar. But because they have batching eyes, you could use this one. And so I just went short there. Now you might let that tick lower and drop a limit order a little higher and enter there. Just to give yourself a little more room before that low, but it doesn't matter. You see it does bounce there temporarily, and then the bottom falls out. So, I did not record this particular. I just recorded this one here and the runner, and I think it was like a $1,500 trade. So, 7 or 8 minute video, and not all that was was part of the trade. So probably in 5 or 6 minutes, I'll show you how you can make $1,500. Now, not everybody can trade that many contracts, but you can do the math. If you're just trying to make $200 or $300 or even $100, you could have done it right there. Fairly easily, especially if you got in here. But anyway, prices drop on down. Then all of a sudden we're coming back again. You got a trend working up, close outside, move to a new high. technically, this is not a second entry because you get a first entry, second entry, but you're just working sideways and you end up, it turns down right off the key entry point, plus closes back inside the channel. You got plenty of room to the other side. Just take that trade. And that's a quick, easy scalp here with all that support there. Maybe you just try to get a scalp out of that one because you would not have got a runner because it does turn back up. And we get the break here. But notice you're working up. You get a first entry and then a second entry. I just didn't like this. I thought this signal bar was too neutral, and I thought this one had too much stem on it. Now, you might take that trade all the same. I think you could argue this probably closes in the lower one third of this bar. It's close, but I think if you measured that out, it probably qualifies. So maybe you take that trade. Again, you'd be better off to wait on the lower high, and you don't get one in this case. It comes back and makes another higher, slightly higher high there. So when it turns down, and I don't think you want to enter on this too sideways, too much support right there. It turns out to be a really nice move. There is a bit of a trap there, but you could go short and it could be a double trap, and you could trap yourself to the downside. We are expecting prices to retest this low, but I just don't like going short that close to that support there after we've on a break here. So I'd want to get a better entry than that. And of course it runs down, close outside new low all in one bar. Maybe you go long there, but again, I'd wait on the higher low to be sure. And I think you move too far here, but notice you quickly get a triple test and then a second entry long right there. You've had your close outside, you had a move to a new low, a couple of swings, and then you get a much higher low with a triple test and a second entry long. I like going long there. Quick, easy move. Comes back, makes another move up, then it comes back. And I'd set my trend line right there just in case. That's just a first entry. I wouldn't enter there. This is too congested. Runs up. I don't see anything up here I want to short either. Then it comes back, and notice what happens. You're working back. You get a first entry and a close outside that trend line that runs all the way down to the key entry point, and a break above that nice bullish bar is a second entry long. Go long there. That's just begging. That's just as easy as it gets. A clear second entry. It confirms a key entry point in an uptrend now. And then if you really wanted to be safe, wait on the higher low, which comes here. Now you'd have to ride out a little bit of a pullback here. But I'd take that one if I wasn't in here. And if I was already stopped out, I'd enter again. And I would say enter on this higher low here as well, but you're still underneath the EMA, and you got a little more stem, and it closes down a little further. So maybe you leave it, you just ride that one out and you sit and you're patient. Wait on something else. And by doing that, real quickly, you get another first entry, second entry, right off the key entry point again. And you also get a close outside the new low. That's as easy as it gets. Go long there. And then it comes back again and gives you what I would count this as just sideways. So there's a leg down, first entry, leg down, second entry. Big reversal bar. I think you could also argue there's a triple test there. You do get a close outside here, so on a new high we could reverse. But I still like going long there. Just make sure you got room to get out before here because it could turn down there again. But no, it just keeps on going, makes a new high, and then turns down. And this is a second entry short right here. I didn't draw the trend line, but you draw this trend line. And you see the close outside, a couple of swings to a new high, failed breakout. Second entry short. I mean, I almost want to make that red, but because we're in an uptrend, it could make another push up. So it's a little bit aggressive. You're better off to wait on the lower high, and then you have to wait for some of this. But you finally do get a lower high here, back inside the range, and I like going short there. Another quick, easy move just down to the other side. You're probably not going to get a big runner here or anything. When I say that, if you're moving your stop to break even. And if you watch the video tomorrow on the trade I did today, I did not move my stop to break even this time. I gave it a little more room because I felt pretty confident with that read that we were going to go lower. It didn't go lower the way I thought it would, but it still went lower. And so, um, it's always a crapshoot. And as you get more experience, you'll better know when maybe you should hang on and you shouldn't. Um, and until you get that experience, you're probably better off just to move your stop to break even or break even +1. And on those best moves that take off, you'll get an easy runner, and the rest of them you'll get stopped out on it. But if you're going to do that, make sure you're using the 80-20 rule, and that you're trading enough contracts where 80% of them are scalp and 20% of them are runners, and that's going to take 5 contracts. And if you can afford to trade 5 contracts and you're comfortable trading 5 contracts, then that's what I would recommend you do. Then go for the runner, because you're going to scalp out 4 every time, and if you don't get the runner, you're only going to lose on 1 contract. Well, the math will work that way. But if you're doing 2 contracts and every time you win, or most times you win, you don't get a runner, and you scalp out with a 1 contract winner, and then every time you lose, you're losing 2. Well, then the math, you got to be really good. Then you can't make any mistakes, and the math kind of works against you. So I don't recommend trying to get runners on 1 and 1. So hopefully that makes sense. But anyway, let's move on. We talked about that one. We drop out here and we get 2 legs back, and then we make a lower high. That is very tempting, but that is just so sideways, and you're right at the support. It would have worked, but I would not take that trade. I mean, I watched it and I thought, man, that is very tempting, but that sure looks like a trap. But it wasn't. It works on down, but it could have easily been a trap. So, in fact, it looks like they probably trapped people to the long side. If it would have been a triple test here on this reap, I would have said go short. And if you had more room to get out. But you don't have that. And you actually get 2 legs down, it reverses. Now you're working up. Close outside. It tries to go higher. You get a first entry and then runs down. There's a second entry long there, and you technically could have gone long right there because you're expecting a retest of the high. I didn't mark it, but you could at least argue for that to be green, so I will go back and mark that. And it runs up, and if you'd had a good signal bar here, maybe you'd have had a short with a green one, but it doesn't. It just gives you a couple of swings down, then a close outside, move to a new low, and it's like a third entry. If it had been a second entry, I'd have given this a blue probably, but it's like a third entry, so you really need to wait on the high or low here. And you get one over here, but by that time, look how congested that is. It's so close to 230. I would sit tight. And of course, it takes off and would have been a great entry. You would have easily got a runner on it, and it would have really taken off. But hey, you followed the rules. You did the right thing. You don't enter there, because the next time it'll tick higher and trap you and stop you out. And so that's the problem. Always make sure if you're following the rules, and this is a great example, and you want to enter there so bad, but you said, now I'm going to follow the rules, and then it takes off like a rocket. And what a lot of people will do, especially new traders that are not experienced, is they'll say, well, I know better to do that next time. And so an hour later, that something similar will happen. They'll say, well, I know what happened last time. I'm not missing that trade this time. And they'll enter here, and it'll take 1 or 2 ticks in reverse and stop them out or give them a big loss. So never look back. Once you've made your decision on a trade, that trade's over. Yeah, you can look back to see if you were right or wrong, but if you followed the rules and you did the right thing and you shouldn't have entered and it takes off, then don't let that eat at you, because all that'll do is cause you to make a mistake next time. And so the right move here, because of all that congestion and everything being kind of below the EMA, was just to sit tight and wait. And so you can't worry and let that bother you that you got a big rally there. So keep that in mind. But anyway, there it is. Pretty good trading day. Lots of second entries right at the key entry points. I mean, we've had a couple of days like that this week, so it's been a good trading week. Yeah, I mean, hopefully you I mean, this is about as easy as you can get a trend channel to find here. Same thing on the way back up. You just use those first couple of swings. This one might have been a little harder to find, but this one was pretty simple. Here you had some different, you would have had to try each one of these and you probably wouldn't have got it confirmed till up here. But notice there's not really a good trade until up here either. So it doesn't matter. Just draw your trend channels. Keep drawing them till you get it right. And you would have kept trying it off every one of these swings until it caught this one, and then you got it confirmed right here, and that's when the next setup came. So that's how you do it. You don't always know you got it right till it gets confirmed, but you draw it anyway. I see we opened up here and took a big drop down. I don't know what that's all about, if some news came out or something after the market was closed, but we don't worry about that. We just follow the price action. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. I hope you had a good trading day. I'll try to get that trade example posted tomorrow, and just remember it was right here, right around 9:30, 10 o'clock Central Standard Time. So actually that bar, we'll just tell you what time it is. It was at 9:49, 5 seconds today. And so go back and watch that. You'll see that trade. And I wish I'd have gotten in up here, but it didn't happen. So anyway, that's it for today. We'll be back again tomorrow. I'm going to wrap it up. This is Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.